Welcome to Firearms of America. As you guys can see, I have another pair of Salomon boots to review, and this is, yet again, Salomon X Ultra Meat 3. But this time, this is their newer Aero version. So, to give you a brief overview, you guys already know, I absolutely love Salomon X Ultra 3. They are probably the best boots that I have reviewed so far on this channel. My personal favorite. In fact, they were my #1 favorite boot of 2019. And this is their Aero version. Lighter, not waterproofed, cheaper version of the boot. So, $130 currently on Amazon. The link is in the description below. As always, runs a little bit smaller than your normal shoe size. Then definitely get them a little bit size bigger. Great quality, amazing comfort. Let's get straight into the review. So, as some of you already know, this review is specifically for my Ultimate Survival Boots section. Basically, if this was your last boot that you put on, or you've been wearing it, and something really bad happened, and you had to walk, run, fight, climb, do whatever is necessary to survive in this boot, would it be a good boot to survive in? Let's find out. How do we make the judgment? We make the judgment based on 8 different criteria. Criteria number 1, of course, the comfort level. So, in order to test all my boots on this channel, I do a 3-mile run and then a 5-mile walk right after. Total distance traveled 8 miles without stopping. Takes me about 7 to 8 hours usually to complete this. And let me tell you guys, I absolutely love Salomon X Ultra 3 in general. They are absolutely amazing. But this particular pair, I love it even more because it is actually lighter than the regular mid-size Salomon X Ultra 3. Let's find out how much. So, the exact weight, and this is size 10, only 16.6, which is very impressive. And if you watched any of my boot reviews, I always say that if you want to be able to run for extended periods of time, to walk and not feel anything on your feet, look for something that is under 20 ounce per boot, and this is well below 20 ounce, so definitely great. There are a few other factors that contribute to the comfort level of this boot. Of course, it is their inner soles, and here, as you can see, they're very popular. A lot of Salomon boots, they do utilize this particular inner soles. This is their Ortholite. And there isn't really much of the cushioning, decent amount of jelliness going here, just enough to take on the impact if you are running improperly. The Ortholite technology itself basically kills the bacteria pretty good. I wish they did have a little bit of more stiffness in this shape that is going to support for the heel. Not a big deal, still great insole. Another part of the boot, of course, after you remove the insole, you do have some extra jelliness going, another layer of kind of a nice cushiony padding going inside. So besides this, you also have some more, so definitely adds up. Of course, as you can see, you have way more than enough of the padding going throughout your ankles and on your tongue as well, so you can wear these boots really without the socks and still be very comfortable. Of course, on the inside, Salomons, they do a very good job making the boots give you that really good support that you do need on your long hikes or whatever really, just covering long distances on foot. Definitely good support, and overall it's just probably one of the most comfortable boots that I have reviewed on this channel. The outsole is, as you can see, extremely flexible, definitely adds up to the comfort as well. So on the comfort level, I can easily give this boot a very solid 10 out of 10. Okay, let's move on to the criteria number 2, which is proofing and protection. So proofing wise, these are not waterproof. Now, I kind of wish that Salomon did have a waterproof version, not with GTX, but their cheaper ClimaSense. their own waterproofing technology, would be cheaper, would be more lightweight than GTX, but still a waterproof version, especially considering that this kind of already has the gusseted tongue, so it's kind of already there. But if you want a waterproof boot, definitely check out their GTX version, because absolutely amazing boot. Now, whenever it comes to the protection, as you can see, there is a little bit of a harder rubber going here on the toe. Pretty good. I kind of wish it was going a little bit higher, but again, as you can see, Salomon did everything they could in this boot to save on the weight, and of course this is a part of it. You do have some very good amount of padding on the ankle, so you do have some support there and protection as well, and of course your heel is nicely reinforced, which also, besides giving you the protection, also gives you some extra support. So not much in this part. Let's move on to the criteria number 3, quality and the design features. Now, quality-wise, Salomon, they have been doing hiking boots forever. They have some of the best hiking boots. I mean, you can ask any more or less experienced hiker, and one of their recommendation is definitely going to be Salomon. So they definitely do know how to make boots. This particular version of the boot, as I said, is a newer line from Salomon, so they don't have a lot of reviews just yet. The link is in the description below if you want to check it out on Amazon. Not much reviews, but if you want to look at the X Ultra 3, the waterproof version, the GTX version, they do have a lot of reviews, and you can definitely tell that people absolutely love them. Now, whenever it comes to the design features, this is another difference between this particular boot and their GTX version, not an Aero version. And this is the lacing system. As you can see, the lacing system here is actually a little bit different. They do have the fabric hooks going, again, to save the weight. Usually I'm not a fan of those, but because the strings here are very good quality, they actually slide through very nicely. It's very easy to tighten these boots and to take them off. And of course, they do have their gripping open hooks here on the top, just one pair though, that kind of holds your string in place whenever you're tightening, also kind of adding to the ease of putting the boots on and taking them off. And also, if you're hiking, if you want to quickly release the pressure here on the top, helpful whenever you're going down, especially declining, definitely helps. Okay, so done with that, let's move on to the criteria number 4, outsole traction and stability. And here, this Salomon boot is just as amazing as the regular Salomon X Ultra 3 GTX or whatever other versions they have. They all use the same Contagrip outsole, and this is really the best so far that I have personally tried on a lot of different hikes, on a lot of different surfaces. I test all of my boots on a variety of surfaces, starting from newer tarmac, older asphalt, getting into some grass, wet grass, dry grass, some trail surfaces, sand, dry sand, wet sand, rocky road, flat surfaces like marble and tile, a lot of different surfaces. But this particular outsole, I had some extra thrown at it with some ice, with some snow, and just a lot of different hikes on a lot of different surfaces, and it handles all of it just perfectly. Of course, you know, whenever it comes to just pure ice, it's really hard to find a boot that you can just put on and use on ice without it being slippery. So whenever it comes to straight up ice, I always recommend, if you're doing some mountaineering, you know, going into the snowy mountain and there's ice involved, get yourself some external spikes, always. But overall, this is as good as you can get in the outsole, because as you can see, it has a decent amount of flatness, it has perfect amount of aggression. There aren't really grooves here where a rock or something like that can get stuck, so that you add up some weight, kind of throw yourself off balance. Nothing like that. This is a perfect outsole. Overall, this is the perfect outsole. Definitely a 10 out of 10 here easily. It definitely provides a sufficient amount of protection, even though it is very flexible. The outer layer of this outsole is still very tough, so Great outsole. I absolutely love it. So let's move on to the criteria number 5, the temperature. These are not really designed for a winter temperature. They are very breathable. In fact, in some of the parts you can actually see through this particular fabric, because they were designed with lightness and breathability in mind. So this is more of a summer, spring, autumn, or fall hiking boot. Not really a winter. There isn't really any insulation, plus you don't have waterproofing for a winter situation, so definitely not there. I'm not even going to mention it. But whenever it comes to really hot temperatures, you know, running, covering 8 miles in almost 100 degrees weather, they are definitely very nice and breathable. Definitely perfect for hot temperatures. This would be my number 1 choice for hikes, because I personally am not really that much concerned with the boot being waterproof. If you watched any of my reviews, usually I say that as long as the boot can dry up quickly, I'm fine with it not being waterproof. In fact, I'd probably prefer a not waterproof version of the boot over the waterproof one, because waterproof, you can get the water inside and then it's really hard for it to dry because it is not waterproof. Okay, so done with that. Let's move on to the next criterion. Is the sizing, criteria number 6. Now, like I said, this boot runs a little bit small, just a tiny little bit. And whenever it comes to sizing of especially hiking boots, I always recommend getting at least half a size bigger than your normal shoe size. So if your shoe size, for example, is 10, get yourself boots in 10.5, just so you have a little bit of that extra space. Definitely helps, especially on the declines. And with this boot, I would probably recommend getting a whole size bigger, just because they run a little bit small. Keep that in mind. Let's move on to the criteria number 7, which is the balance of application. Basically, if this really was the very last boot that you put on and you had to survive, it was a survival situation, I don't know, pandemic, riots, right? And you had to survive in this boot. Would this be a good boot to survive in? To run, to walk, to not take off for days? I think it's definitely an excellent option, as long as your survival situation does not involve anything with cold temperature, with some snow, with some ice, with winter in general. I think if your situation involves, you know, warmer climate, this is definitely a fantastic option. And of course, if you really do want a waterproofed boot, you can take a look at the GTX version of this boot, which is a little bit heavier and a little bit more expensive, about $30–40 more expensive, but it's waterproof. So you have options. So the very last criterion number 8, really quickly, is the price. $130. If you want to save a little bit on, you know, some money and you don't really care about waterproofing, this is definitely a great option. Only at $130. Pretty good price. And I think because they're newer, they're more expensive. So probably in a few months, they'll probably drop in price as well. So if you're interested, maybe you can wait a little bit and see, because that's usually how it is. They come out with new boots, they are on the expensive side, and then they slowly start to drop in price. So overall, I absolutely love this boot, just like every X Ultra 3 that I have reviewed on this channel. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think, guys, about this particular boot? If you have any requests, drop them in the comments below. I always look out for those. Thank you very much, guys, for watching. This was Firearms of America, and I'll see you guys in the next video.